Now, as Sadora reminded us last night, Christian apologetics is the branch of Christian theology which seeks to provide a rational justification for Christianity's truth claims. If we follow this suicidal course of action, then the consequences for the church in the next generation will be catastrophic. Christianity will be reduced to just one more voice in a cacophony of competing voices, each sharing his narrative and none of them commending itself as the objective truth about reality, while scientific naturalism continues to shape our view of how the world really is. I also meet other people who told me of how they've been prevented from falling away from their faith because of an apologetic book or video that they'd seen. In their case, apologetics has been the means by which God has brought about their perseverance in the faith. Now, of course, apologetics cannot guarantee perseverance in the faith. Indeed, some of the most effective anti-Christian thinkers today are ex-apologists who are out there all over the place on the internet. But nevertheless, I think Christian apologetics can help, and in some cases, in the providence of God, may even be necessary in order to ensure perseverance. In high school and college, Christian teenagers are intellectually assaulted with every manner of non-Christian worldview, coupled with an overwhelming relativism. If parents are not intellectually engaged with their faith and do not have sound arguments for the truth of Christian theism and good answers to their children's questions, then brothers and sisters, we are in danger of losing our youth. It is no longer enough to simply teach our children Bible stories. They need doctrine and Christian apologetics. I'll be honest with you, I find it frankly hard to understand how parents can risk parenthood these days without studying Christian apologetics. Fortunately, or rather unfortunately, I mean to say, our churches have largely dropped the ball in this area. It's insufficient for youth groups and Sunday school classes to simply focus on entertainment and worship experiences and simpering devotional thoughts. We've got to train our kids for war. How dare we send them out to public high school and university armed with nothing more than rubber swords and plastic armor. The time for playing games is past.
You know, my background was I didn't have these Christians in my family, but I did have Mormons because my dad remarried. He's still an atheist, but his second wife is LDS, and I have 6 brothers and sisters who were all raised in the Mormon church. And I can tell you that I became a Christian, I always say, the same day I became a not Mormon, because when I first started looking at this, my family saw that I was getting interested, so what do you think I had at my door? I had missionaries, and I spent 8 weeks, but my whole family was Mormon, so I was talking to them, and they gave me a quad. So I read through the Book of Mormon, the Doctrines and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price before I ever even read through the Old Testament. I was taking the same process that I used to examine Christianity, I was using to examine the Book of Mormon. And I just felt like every time I found something successful on one side, it failed on the other. And so I think that this idea of, well, you need to have an examined faith. Well, my Mormon family doesn't have an examined faith. They have all experienced their way into this worldview. None of them have made a case for why this is true. If you ask them why they believe, why they're Mormons, they'll sadly give us the same reasons why most of you would say you're a Christian, if I'm honest. There's 3 responses I get, 3 responses over and over and over again. 1, I was raised in the church. That is the #1 reason I get as I travel around the country, and I think I'm doing 70 events a year for the last 3 years. So I talk to a lot of Christian churches. That's the #1 answer. #2 is I've had some experience that has confirmed for me this is true. #3 is typically, hey, I was a jerk before I knew Jesus, now I'm not so much jerk anymore. So I've had this transformation. All good answers, but those are the same answers my Mormon family gives me. And you don't think that that's true. So it turns out if we have a faith system that could be defended evidentially, why do we continue to act like every other group that possesses a faith they can't defend evidentially? Shouldn't ours be somehow different? Because always ask yourself through this filter, could my Mormon friends and family make the same claim? If they could, then your claim probably is insufficient, right? Because it's not built on the strong basis, the foundational evidential worldview we call Christianity.
And so really important here to distinguish what makes Christianity unique among all world religions is not how I feel about it or how strongly I believe in it. What makes Christianity unique is that it is true.